Here we go on a Sunday morning in Las Vegas. Just after the clock, I'm Brian Feldman, and this is Outta Line. We are here live every time this week, same time, on Fox Sports Radio, 98.9 FM and 1340 AM, flagship of the Vegas Golden Knights. The we starts with co-host Caleb Herring, the last UNLV quarterback to lead the Rebels to a bowl game. And with the Rebels not having a 2020 season, I will be saying that for at least another year and a half.
It stands. To be a record holder.
Oh, the accolades!
It just keeps extending. The streak never ends.
You kind of feel like Mercury Morris.
It's a sense of pride
right?
that I get.
You get what Mercury Morris does every year when he pops the champagne.
Yeah,
after every team has lost one game in the NFL.
Well, I don't go that far, but I just it's
you pop
exciting.
Champagne at home.
In the privacy of my own bedroom, what I do is none of your business, Brian.
He pops champagne at home, I'm telling you right now. I just want to know what kind of champagne it is. Each year it's got to get more expensive. Like the 25th year anniversary, it better be Dom.
Yeah, I'm doing good for myself right now, but it's still in the cheap variety.
Okay.
When I get to Dom, I'll let you know.
All right. Also here with us today, filling in for Chris Magnum Chapman, who is handling the Raiders broadcast on the sister station, the Raiders, what are they, Raiders Nation Radio? Right?
Raider Nation Radio.
Raider Nation Radio, our sister station. Yeah, today officially kicks off, no pun intended, 10 o'clock in the morning. They play Teddy Bridgewater and the Carolina Panthers. We'll be talking about that in a little while. And also here today, a big part of the show, the week includes with a guy responding to all of today's social media questions and comments, our intern, and now has the title of social media director, The Wiz!
Nobody beats the Wiz. Nobody beats the Wiz.
The only intern in the country with his own theme music. Seriously. I mean, listen, we're also streaming on the LV Sports Network, and you can watch the show on Facebook Live. The page is called Outta Line. That's OUTTALINE. You can also follow the show on Instagram and Twitter at Outta Line on Fox LV. That's at Outta Line on Fox LV. And since we are live, your calls and questions are welcome. The Fox Sports Residential Bancorp studio line is 702-876-1340.
Hi, this is Bubby, and it's time for What's on Tap.
5 seconds. Battle is in the neutral zone. 3 seconds. Puck misses Schmidt. A backhand shot, but they run out of time. It's all over. Dallas 2, Vegas 1. And the Stars lead the series 3-1.
What's on Tap brought to you by the title sponsor, Residential Bancorp. Whether purchasing a new home or refinancing the home you already own, Residential Bancorp is the company to turn to for all your home financing needs. Residential Bancorp, funding America one neighborhood at a time. On Tap, as you just heard, the Vegas Golden Knights are one loss away from being eliminated from the Western Conference Finals. There are 5 teams left in the NBA bubble, and one of them is the Los Angeles Lakers, who are headed back to the conference finals for the first time in 10 years. There's people in this room that are very happy about that. I'm not one of them, but that's okay. Fact, this is all about the clear-cut top player in college football. As we predicted, former UNLV linebacker Javen White is on the practice squad. And speaking about the Raiders in a couple of hours, as we just mentioned, the Las Vegas Raiders kick off their season in Carolina. And time permitting, we'll also talk about the red-hot Las Vegas Aces kicking asses in the WNBA wobble. Not too bad, right? That's what's on tap. If you're looking to buy a home or to refinance the home you currently own, choose a company you can trust, Residential Bancorp, funding America one neighborhood at a time.
Right wing shot. They score! Power play goal. Alec Martinez. Right from the faceoff. Vegas takes a 1-0 lead.
All right, we can go. We're looking for nightcap. Sorry, Damon hasn't done this for a while, Caleb.
Yeah, and he got short notice.
We'll give him a break. Yeah, he did get really short notice, and so no big deal. But it's called Nightcap, and it is a cupful of the Vegas Golden Knights. So, as you just heard, Alec Martinez, the one highlight. Actually, it wasn't the one highlight. There were several highlights last night for the Vegas Golden Knights. They came close a lot of times. Gudobin is absolutely killing it right now for the Dallas Stars. He's in their melons. There's no question about it. Martinez put one puck in the net. They could have had a few other goals. But the bottom line is, when you don't capitalize, Spence, pull that mic text. I don't know how you're going to talk on it without it in front of you. There you go, brother. But again, without scoring more goals, and especially when you've got a 1 minute and 10-second 5-on-3 and you don't score a single goal in that time, it's unacceptable. They did that twice, actually, although the difference is in game 4, they scored with the 5-on-4.
At the 5-on-4, yeah. When they still had 50 seconds left with the normal power play, they were able to score this time. How do you not score?
Is it the goalie? Is he just so in their head right now that they don't think they can get the puck past this guy? Is it inefficient play? I mean, there are guys that are counted on to put the puck in the net for this team. Mark Stone, Max Pacioretty, Jonathan Marchessault, William Karlsson, Riley Smith. These guys aren't getting the job done. It's that simple. You're getting more production out of your defensemen. Alec Martinez gets the only goal in that game. And then on top of that, you get, just the Shea Theodore has been the story for the Golden Knights, and he's a defenseman. The guys who are supposed to be producing are not. And the bottom line is, I don't want to hear anybody out there, and it's funny, I've heard fans talking about Marc-Andre Fleury, that the problem is Robin Lehner is playing as good as any goaltender in the Stanley Cup playoffs right now. Matter of fact, he took one in the neck yesterday, and you can't blame him for the fact that they're not winning games.
No, you can't. It's all about putting, especially when you have opportunities to put the puck in the net. I mean, they've had a couple that have gone off the post, but outside of that, they're not even getting close. I know we talked about it before we came on. The guy who we think is a great scorer and on goal, who the Wiz obviously has some feelings about, who doesn't put it on net, in the net as enough. But the fact that you can't score on a 5-3 like that to me is telling of how much the Knights are struggling to put the puck in the net. And that's just, you can't have it. It's happened twice in series. They got out of it once, and you talked about it. They were able to score when it was 5-on-4.
After the 5-on-3, which was still like a 50-second
50-second 5-on-3. You got to be able to put the puck in the net. There's no excuse. And so the problem isn't goaltending. So putting Fleury in doesn't solve the puck getting into the net. And it's not like you're not getting power plays. They're just not being efficient with their power plays, and that's going to be the demise of the team. If they're down 3-1, I don't know if it's the same as the NBA, where 3-1 is basically the series is over historically. But being down 3-1 does not bode well for the Golden Knights. And after a great run of a season, not being able to put all the controversy we made over goaltending and whether Fleury should get the start or if it was the end of Fleury with the Knights. All the fuss that was made about that before the playoffs and coming into this series, and it turns out that the problem that we're having is not being able to score, and completely blindsided by that issue.
Yeah, it is surprising, and the guy you're talking about that Spencer, and we'll let the Wiz chime in a minute. We do have a caller on the line we'll get to, but his complaints about Max Pacioretty, he's not playing his best hockey. Obviously, his plus minus is bad for a guy of his caliber that was leading the team going into the pandemic break in goals scored. So that is a problem, but cumulatively, it is an offensive issue. They're playing okay defense. They get caught pinching every now and again, but Leonard's bailed him out when that's happened. Like I said, I don't know if Qdobin is just in the head of these guys, but Caleb, you talked about coming back from a 3-1 deficit. 3 teams did it in the conference semifinals. However, all 3 of them ended up losing and not advancing. They won 2 games to get back in it. It's a tall order, and then if you do somehow win 3 games in a row, you're going up against either the Tampa Bay Lightning, that are probably the most talented team in the NHL, or you're going up against the New York Islanders team that's going to have to be red hot to have beaten the Tampa Bay Lightning. Either way, it's a scary scenario for the rest of the way for the Vegas Golden Knights. Let's quickly take a call, and Spence, I'll let you get to your thoughts on Max Pacioretty after the call. I think it is Craig on the phone right now. What's going on, Craig?
Hey, how's it going? Good morning, guys.
Morning, man. How you doing? Good. Glad to have you up on a Sunday morning in Vegas.
Yeah, brutal loss last night. I don't know, boys. It's been hard watching them just crumble these last few days. I really don't know what to say. They're doing everything. Watching the plays, we look better than the other team when we get the puck cycle in, like you said, get caught pinching a couple times. Leonard's been outstanding. I'm really scared for this fan base that doesn't know what it's like to lose and to be this close to the cup 2 times in a row and never make it. It's going to be devastating for us.
Yeah, it's tough, and and you're 100% right, Craig. The big issue is they're very spoiled in Vegas. You get a team that comes, are basically cast-offs, considered at least at best the 11th best player on their team, and that's how they get released and get over here to Vegas and go to the Cup Finals the first year. And last year, a real catastrophic bad penalty at the end takes them out of at least going to the second round last year, which most people felt they should have.
Yeah.
And then this year, here they are back back in the Western Conference Finals again 3 years into existence. And Craig's right. The fan base is spoiled, and they just expect them to win at least to get out of this round for sure.
Yeah, and not even just to win. I think we dealt with it last year with the first real offseason of having to reshuffle the deck and make roster adjustments with losing the head coach that took you to the Stanley Cup Finals the first time. So those kind of transitions, but the marquee player of Fleury, there's a real question of if he's going to be a Golden Knight next year, if he's going to even be playing in the sport anymore next year, because he's just at that phase in his career, the way these playoffs have gone for him. There's a real possibility that the fan base not only could deal with getting eliminated from the playoffs unexpectedly and in kind of a blowout fashion if it ends tomorrow night, but also the fact that your franchise player, the guy that's been a staple in your community as far as hockey goes in Fleury, may not be a Golden Knight next year, whether it's the organization deciding to deal him to get something for him in return or him deciding to walk away from the game. Whatever the case may be, losing is one thing, and Vegas doesn't do good with losers. It's not a losing town. If you lose here, you go home miserable from Vegas, essentially. We celebrate winning more, I think, than any other community. So losing is one thing, and then to lose Marc-Andre Fleury potentially could be another gut punch for the Knights, and I don't know how you overcome that as a fan base. So there's a valid point to how the fans are going to react to this loss.
Well, I don't think most places take to losing too kindly. I think Vegas
losing
takes
has
it hard.
circumstances.
It does.
Here.
They take it hard. I mean, in Detroit, we just understand losing because we deal with it so often. But for the most part, I think most places have a real problem with losing, and Vegas isn't alone in that. And my opinion, the Wiz's opinion, they're going to get a taste of some more losing with their NFL franchise this year. You think differently. I will tell both of you though, and this is a conversation for later. I did take Derek Carr as my third quarterback in my fantasy football draft, but here's the thing: by the time you get down,
the Wiz just had a small stroke.
He did, but it's a 2-quarterback league where you have to start 2 quarterbacks, and by the time you get down to the third quarterback you need, you're at the bottom of the barrel. So that's where I was with Derek. He was the highest rated quarterback on the board.
Backhanded compliment if I ever heard one.
Well, like I said, I don't love him. We got Mike on the phone. Let's go. Go out to the phone. What's up, Mike? Hello.
Previous subject of the Golden Knights.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, can I revert to the previous subject of the Golden Knights?
Yeah, of course.
There's a couple of things that do not settle well with me. Number one is the elevation of the puck. I think we're just becoming terrible at it. We've got to elevate the puck more to be able to score. And then secondarily, this is not a take that you're going to echo, I'm sure, because you can't, and I understand that. But there's room for both Fleury and Leonard on the same team because they've proven it in Montreal. The accounting firm of Price Allen is worth, I don't know, $14 million a year or something. So we can put both of them on, but you've got to get rid of some dead weight to do it. And I don't mean dead weight by meaning that these guys are not good. They're still good, but you have to free up some salary. And I would start personally with $6.5 million on number 26. And that's just my feel. And I like to hear your comments.
Well, number 26, he's talking about Stastny, and I don't know. I think Stastny's a real gritty player, and I do like him for this team. I think he plays well. He's good, hockey family, Mike. And again, I want to appreciate the comments. What I will say regarding there's room for 2 goaltenders, there's absolutely room for 2 goaltenders. The problem isn't that there's room. The problem is you have very large egos, and they're hidden egos. Because Marc-Andre Fleury, you would never know it, but come on, that man internally has to have a huge ego. How can you not? He's an NHL superstar, future Hall of Fame goaltender. Internally, he feels he should be between the pipes every night and on Sunday. So the bottom line is there's no way he's going to be comfortable sitting behind Robin Lehner. Robin Lehner's a guy now getting into his late 20s in the prime of his career with a good 7 or 8 solid seasons left in him, barring some kind of catastrophic injury. He is the future of the Vegas Golden Knights. I'd love to see Marc-Andre Fleury come to an agreement and to terms with he'll be the backup and stay here next year. I think every fan would echo those sentiments, but I don't think it's fair to him to not at least give him the option at 37, 38 years old to go out and try to find a team that could use him for 1, maybe 2 more seasons.
And it's a classic case of you either live long enough to see yourself become a villain or you die a hero. And I think that's what in the sports term, you'd rather die or go out on top as a Hall
Jason
of Famer.
Witten,
as
are
a
you
starter.
listening in Carolina?
Yeah, Jason Witten is going to fade into the background as a perennial backup. He might be in the league for another 10 years on somebody's sideline, just kind of hanging around. But that's not the way most of the
50 years old, he'll look like George Blanda did out there.
That's not the way
God
most competitors.
Almighty.
It's like if Jordan had walked away after that game-winning shot against the Jazz. If he just never came back and played basketball again, he'd ride out on that high. But I'm sure Jordan, now in the back of his mind, when he looks back at his career, he has to remember those years in Washington
Caleb,
as a Wizard. You don't want those to be your last, shots of the basket or your last time between the pipes as a backup. You want to be the guy that you were at your best, and you want to be a Hall of Fame goaltender when people remember you, and you ride off into the distance with like Kobe Bryant with a 60-point game, not like Paul Pierce as a journeyman and kind of fiddling around on rosters and being backups, and then your farewell tour isn't as glorious as it should have been, as you deserve it to be.
Well, it sucks you brought up Paul Pierce, but I think Jordan, first of all, unless you are an enthusiast, I promise you, kids under the age of about 23 years old right now have no idea that Michael Jordan played for the Washington Wizards and ended his career there. Yeah. They just don't know.
They don't know.
And it's good that they don't know.
Because it was forgetful.
It was
terrible.
I forgot already. Amnesia. But real quick, wrapping up on the Vegas Golden Knights, a couple of things, guys. I want to get the Wiz in here to talk about, before we go to break, about Max Pacioretty. Spencer, I understand what you're saying. His production has not been great. I know that you are an analytical guy. Billy Bean would love you. As a matter of fact, when we decide to get rid of you here, I'm leaving that. We're going to talk to Billy Bean and let him know how analytical you are. But analytics aside, Pacioretty has a certain role with this team and in the National Hockey League. And I understand what you're saying. You look at other guys and you see that, okay, this guy might be more efficient or this guy might be more efficient. There is something that I feel that Max brings to this team, and it is a winning element. I get that yesterday he hit the post on a shot that maybe should have been 3 more inches to the left. You try making that shot and see what happens. But I understand you're not Max Pacioretty and you're not in the National Hockey League. That's his job, is to put the puck in the net when he does have an opening. But go ahead. Give me your reasons why you think they should get rid of Max Pacioretty, or he shouldn't be part of this team. And what do you get for a guy like him?
I don't know. I think at this point in the playoffs specifically, I think at least you drop him to the third line. He can't be playing as much as he is. He's waning on shots. He shoots it on every time he gets. Last 5 games, 1 assist, 17 shots total, 0% scoring percentage, obviously, and a -2 overall. He's on there doing nothing, and he's taking up a lot of shots, and a lot of them don't even hit net.
So you think what Mike said, that he should be one of those guys that they chop and make some room for new guys?
At least you can move guys up. I don't think you take him completely out of the lineup, but maybe if he has a mismatch on the third line, that's where you can get some sort of production out of him.
Okay, third line for Max Pacioretty. Maybe Pete DeBoer is listening on satellite radio, and he can chime in and get this.
What did Bill Lambier say in the promo? That's his problem.
That's his problem, yeah. The Max Pacioretty. I do like Max. I do understand what you're saying. I think that the one thing I will say, and I will talk with, and somewhat agree with Spence, but I think there's got to be a mixing up of the lines.
What's funny is after talking to Spence about Pacioretty so much and his disdain for Pacioretty, when I watch the games now and I kind of end up watching it through Spence's lens, I'm like, geez, it does look kind of. I mean, there was one where he's like falling down and shot it still, and I was like, it just felt worse because of what Spence said.
One of the things Mike said that we didn't allude to a lot was he was saying elevation of the puck, and you did see that. Watt was standing right on the doorstep, and all he had to do was lift the puck up, and he threw it right in to Khudobin, and that's a problem. You do have to elevate the puck, and there were times when you saw openings, and you've got to capitalize on those openings whenever there is one, especially when you're playing a hot goaltender. But what we are seeing right now in the National Hockey League is what I talk about all the time that makes the NHL so unique and so different to other sports, is where one player can really make that much of a difference on a consistent basis. In every other sport, you'll have a player stand up in a particular game and play lights out, maybe in a couple games. I always think back to the 2000 playoffs with Ray Lewis, where I've never seen a performance like that in my life, where every game you would see him make a tackle 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. In the next play, he's picking off a ball 20 yards downfield. It was like there were 12 men on defense. And every now and again, a player does that. In hockey, you can have a player do that consistently through an entire playoff run, and that is the goaltender position. Because the bottom line is, no matter how well you're playing, you have to score goals to win games. And there are guys in that an overused cliche of standing on their head that do that. And right now, we're seeing Khudobin do that for the Dallas Stars. We have seen it in the playoffs with the other goalies too. Varlamov of the New York Islanders has played exceptionally in these playoffs, and part of the reason that team is there. And of course, Vasilevsky of the Tampa Bay Lightning, probably the best goaltender of the National Hockey League. When that guy plays his best game, there's almost no beating him, and that's what's so cool is a team. And that's how in the NHL, as opposed to any other sport, that an 8 seed can go and win more consistently, and you've seen that in the NHL than any other sport because one man can make such a big difference, and it's your last line of defense at the goaltender position. Listen, real quickly, guys, predictions here on out. Caleb, you talked about it. Coming from a 3-1 deficit is really, really, really difficult to do. And if they do it, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, then you still got another series to face after using up a lot of momentum and energy to get there. But the first you got to get there, and it starts with the old mentality. And this is an athlete, one game at a time. Can they do it?
I don't think so. I honestly, just looking at, I think the Knights' season might be over. I think it might be a 4-1 series ending, and that's not popular. Nobody in Vegas wants to hear it, but I could see it being the case. Just the way the Stars are playing, like you said, they've got a hot goalie right now, and the Knights can't get the ball in the net. So I for whatever reason, I just don't see them winning the game. It doesn't feel right.
Spence, what do you think?
No chance. I think they lose next game.
You think they're done next game?
Yeah.
So they put Pacioretty in goal?
It might be more useful there.
I was just waiting. Listen, I do think they are going to win tomorrow night. I don't think they're going to go out in 5. I think they'll get everyone excited. They'll have a nice game tomorrow night. We'll see some offensive prowess, and I think Dallas wins it in 6 games. That's what I think. So we'll see what happens, but I think it's going to end up being 3-2 Dallas. It's unfortunate, but I just think that's the way that it's going to run. Listen, we're going to take a break that we weren't supposed to, Damon. I'll let you know that's not 100 because we carried that one on a little bit too long. Feel free to give us a call. The Fox Sports Residential Bank Corp studio line, 876-1340. Call us now. We'd love to talk to you. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we're going to talk a little bit about the NBA playoffs, and still to come, the greatest player in college football this year. Is he the greatest, the best? I don't know, but he is definitely the number one player. In fact, this is going to talk about it and ask a question. That's all coming your way shortly. Good stuff coming your way later on. You're listening to Outta Line, Fox Sports Radio, 98.9 FM, 1340 AM, flagship of the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm Brian Feldman. To my left on your radio dial, we'll start with Caleb Herring in the middle, former UNLV quarterback, popping champagne, and next to him. Oh, The Wiz! Okay.
I didn't know we were doing that all over again. Yeah, he's got his theme song and everything going. The Wiz is here.
We got him in the studio. Social distance. He still got the mask, and I love The Wiz. He takes care of business. And then directly in front of me on your radio, we have Damon Cotton, who is filling in today for a producer. Who knows? He may be here for a while with Mags running the board for the Raiders and on East Coast games like today.
Yeah, Raider Nation Radio.
So we got to fit him in. I'll have to send him the log a little before 10 minutes before the show.
Please help him out.
Would that be nice? Like help him out. Okay, we will. Listen, guys, NBA playoffs, the bubble. I've got to tell you, I first of all predicted that there wouldn't be sports based on things happen. I admit that. Bernie Fratto came on and told us they would at least all start, and he was 100% accurate. That's why he's a national talk show host, and I'm here local on Sunday mornings, right? But
give yourself some credit.
But here's the thing: I'm giving myself some credit. Matter of fact, 8 years. Do you know that today? I didn't tell you guys. Today is 8 years. I kind of mentioned it a little bit at the beginning of the show, but 8 years on the radio today, man.
Hey, congratulations,
in
man.
Thanks, man.
That's a long time.
It's kind of cool, Caleb. It's
considering how
it's
old
been
you
about
are.
a year.
8 years. You're counting backwards now.
Remember, I'm going to be a G soon. A
Yeah.
gangsta.
This is great.
So anyway, to go to the NBA, my point was I didn't know what to look forward to. I figured half these guys, a lot of them are prima donnas. They're going to bow out of the game. They're not going to play in this year because they got an opportunity to not have to play, still make their millions of dollars, and not play this year. And plus, to their defense on this, also being in a bubble without many family members and friends for months on end, when you are a multimillionaire, is probably pretty damn frustrating.
Not for Eddie House.
So
yeah.
No.
Come test me for COVID, ma'am.
Yeah, try it. So, but it's turned out to be one of the more exciting NBA postseasons in a while, and highlighted by the Miami Heat, which have absolutely blown my mind. I mean, I'm not going to kid you. I've always been a Jimmy Butler fan.
Yeah.
I really have. I love his brand of basketball. A lot of people, they're misguided about their perception of Jimmy Butler. You look at him and you see, well, he's got wild hairdo, and you can see he can be outspoken. He is a great teammate, a tremendous distributor of the basketball, as well as a tremendous scorer of the basketball, and he plays defense.
Yeah.
I don't know what more you can ask for out of a superstar than they asked for out of Jimmy Butler. And this year, of all the years he's played, he is proving his worth and his moxie in the NBA as he has lifted this Miami Heat team. Not a team of non-great players. They have some super players on this team, but he, without question, is the superstar, and he has lifted their play to another level. It speaks volumes to the job that Pat Riley does putting this team together. And Eric Spoelstra, a guy that's never gotten the credit that he should get, because they always said, well, look at who we had: LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. No, this guy is a coach, and starts deserving some of the credit that is due to him. But is Miami going to go get past Boston? Let's start with that.
No, I think that first, Miami is built to beat teams like Boston. They have some of a plethora of wing defenders that are athletic enough to keep up with the Boston Celtics. I'm not going to say stopping Jason Tatum, but this is one of the first matchups that he's going to have where there's 2 or 3 guys that are going to be able to guard him one-on-one without help. And so I don't know that – I'm not going to say it's been easy for Tatum, but look at the Raptors, as good as they are. Siakam's not known as a defensive stopper. He's one of the best size matchups. Then the other 2 guards, Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry, are just too small. And so there was mismatches. There was opportunities for him to succeed. I don't know that against the Miami Heat, you're going to be able to keep guys like Kemba Walker on the court defensively, liability-wise, and I don't know that you're going to be able to go one-on-one and expect Jason Tatum to score 20 points, or Jaylen Brown. Either one of these guys. They're young guys. They've been in big moments, Game 7s. They've been in those. But I'm just not sure if they have enough to overcome the wing defenders, the savviness of an Andre Iguodala on the wing, the aggressiveness, the physicality of Jimmy Butler on the wing. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. The Bam at the rim waiting for them. I don't know if they're going to be able to exploit these mismatches like they have throughout the playoffs so far. So I think Miami is definitely built to take down the Celtics. The question is going to be if offensively, if Miami can shoot the ball consistently, they're going to need 3-point shooting to keep pace offensively in this game, and if they're going to be able to finish down the stretch. And like you said, Jimmy Butler is that guy for them that elevates them to that level, where Giannis is very one-dimensional when closing out games. He's almost a liability when it comes to shooting jumpers, getting to the free throw line, things like that late in games. And it shows in the playoffs where, he's been bounced out the past 2 years. Jimmy Butler gives Miami that, where if you need to close a game, Jimmy Butler can close it out. If you're within 3 points and Jimmy's on your team, you can count on him to go get you buckets down the stretch, one-on-one, iso ball, hero ball, whatever you want to call it. Yes, so Miami Heat can dethrone the Celtics or knock the Celtics out. I don't see dethrone. But neither team in the East is at all ready for either team coming out of the West. And I would even throw the Nuggets in that category. The Nuggets, if the Nuggets by some miracle of events make it out of the West and are the Western Conference representative, all three of the remaining teams will beat whoever comes out of the East, in my opinion. Preferably, I would say the Lakers will come out of the West, which they're looking like the best team in basketball right now. But neither team in the East has what it takes to beat any of the giants in the West right now.
I'm not going to disagree with you. And again, when and I was going to say when you go to Miami and Boston, the first thing you look at, the best player on the court. It's Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
The best player. So when you've got the best player on your team in a particular series, you have a chance. What a tremendous the unseen matchup. We already talked about Spoelstra. I mean, you have with Brad Stevens, two of the best coaches in the NBA, and I'm going to really enjoy seeing the strategies these guys come up with and the plays they design to play against each other, because these are two of the masterminds in the National Basketball Association. But I agree with you 100% on the other side. What a great series. It'll probably end today between the Clippers and the Nuggets, but don't count Denver out. This is a very gritty, also a very well-coached basketball team that is playing at the pinnacle of their capability right now. And if they dethrone, and I can't say dethrone because there's no throne that the LA Clippers are on, but if they beat the LA Clippers and that huge two-headed monster they have up there in LA, I'll tell you right now, that's going to put a little bit more fear into the LA Lakers. And not that the LA Lakers are fearing anybody right now. Anthony Davis, my God in heaven, when that guy gets inside and underneath and decides to take over, there is nobody in the National Basketball Association that can stop him. And LeBron, I mean, still, this guy, how many times does this guy pull up from way outside the arc on a shot that you say, no, no, no? Yes.
Yeah, he's cementing himself as the greatest player of all time. And him and Jordan are now kind of the conversation.
If he wins this year,
especially out of the West with the season that he's had, dominating and leading the league in assists and being in the MVP conversation, he deserves at the age of 35 to be in the GOAT conversation. No doubt about it. Him and Jordan kind of 1A, 1B if he gets it done, if he finishes it off. But about the Lakers, everybody made a big deal about the Clippers and that defensive lineup that they have with Pat Beverly, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George on the wing. Those three are very good individual defenders of the ball on the perimeter. Probably the best three that you have in a starting lineup, right? But the Lakers consistently, top to bottom, as a team defense for all four quarters, no matter what lineup the Lakers have on the floor, they can shut you down. It's not just about having great print. This is minus Avery Bradley. Rondo's become a great defender.
Which is a real big surprise because I thought without Avery Bradley, that is going to be the demise of the Los Angeles Lakers.
If you look at the teams that we've eliminated, I say we because I'm a Laker fan. Make no doubt about it. I've been a Laker fan from the beginning. I was a Laker fan during the lean times
and you
too.
I've already been one-on-one anyway.
This is not a bandwagon thing. I was born a Laker fan. I bleed Laker. So the Lakers, the fact that they can still look at who we've eliminated. The Blazers, arguably the best offensive guard tandem in the backcourt with Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. Eliminated them 4-1. The Rockets, the best scorer in the NBA, arguably in NBA history in James Harden, with Russell Westbrook as his wingman. Probably one of the most dangerous. Russell Westbrook.
Who?
Yeah, he did disappear.
Where was he yesterday? Did he play?
He was
10
arguing,
points.
He was arguing with
4
Rondo's
rebounds
brother.
and 6 assists in a closeout game again.
And why? Because he's playing the Lakers defense, and we as a team.
Maybe if he wore like lower
down.
Socks or something, that might help him.
The backcourts that we face give me confidence going against anybody because we beat Damian Lillard, we beat Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, we beat James Harden and Russell Westbrook. Those backcourts are supposed to be our weakness. Like, we don't have good perimeter defenders. That's what everyone said during the season, and that the perimeter defense would buckle and be our demise. Look at us now. Like, we've taken on two of the best backcourts in the NBA, and we're still standing. I'm not afraid of anybody. If we play great basketball, the Lakers should win a championship
The next
this year.
series in the Western Conference should be phenomenal. Whoever the Lakers play, I think it'll be the Clippers.
I just want to see LeBron and Kawhi go at each other all series long. I know it's not going to happen. Maybe in clutch moments it will, but I want to see them matched up all
Every
night
now and
long.
again, you're going to see that,
it.
and you'll see some great defensive plays. I mean, again, the one thing that I love about the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard is, you talk about how outstanding this guy is. People just forget that he's one of the best defensive players in the NBA. You just don't think about that when you think about Kawhi Leonard.
The middle finger block on Jamal Murray. I don't even know if I would risk my fingers to try to block that. He feels like a broken finger.
He's a beast. He truly is an NBA beast. And real quickly, before we go to the next break, I did want to talk about Mike D'Antoni as well. I mean, 362 career regular season wins. That's third most all time without reaching the NBA Finals. Don Nelson, which was crazy, 1,335 regular season wins. And then you've got Cotton Fitzsimmons, who won 832 games and never made it to the finals. Mike D'Antoni, does he have a job at 69 years old? Is it 69? I think 69 years old next year with the Houston Rockets.
I don't think he doesn't have a job for not wanting one. I think he may be at a point in his career, in his life, where he doesn't have a desire to go try to rebuild anywhere or to come back and try to, climb up this mountain with
not a
Houston.
bad coach,
Not
but
a bad coach
I
at all.
think Houston needs to go in another direction.
They brought up a great point during the broadcast that people don't take into consideration where you talk about his record in the playoffs and how he's never gotten to the championship and things like that. And then you look at when did you expect a Mike D'Antoni coach team to beat the best team in the conference, like the Warriors for the past 3 years with Houston?
He's always been the coach of like the second or third best team.
And that's it sucks.
frustrating
for him. He'll go down as a coach that didn't win a championship, didn't get the whole thing done, but. Really, there's no point in history where you can look back and say, yeah, D'Antoni's team should have won a championship.
Well, he just needs LeBron James to start crying and saying, I want Mike D'Antoni to coach the team I'm on, and he'll get to an NBA Finals. That's all it is. Just got to coach a team LeBron's on these days. That's the way it works. Listen, we are going to take our final break. On the other side, we are going to have Fact This and talk about the number one player in Division I football, and will be the number one draft. If you don't know who that is, well, you're probably not even listening to the show. Also, I would like to talk a little bit about the Wubble and the Aces if we get a chance to, but of course we've got NFL Week 1 game so far, and we will do our picks in here. And Damon, we're going to let you pick for the Mag since he's not around. So we have first week of picks, and we'll get that rolling. All that and more out of line, Fox Sports Radio. Yeah, it's a fact. Clemson junior quarterback Trevor Lawrence is the man in college football this season, and barring a tragedy, he will be picked first in the 2021 NFL Draft, no matter how many snaps he takes in 2020. This raises the question, why not opt out of playing his junior year when, because of the pandemic, he could have, and because quarterbacks in the National Football League are now signing 9-figure contracts. Why play, Caleb?
I honestly have no real answer to that question in this year. A national championship, which he may want to win as the starter for a full season, that may be the only thing that he
a second national
wants.
championship.
No, but that's fine. But that would be number 2. But that's the only real thing he could be chasing here. This year, though, a national championship is like 1/3 of the nation. Like the Big Ten
it's
and
not
the Pac-12.
even you can have an asterisk next to it.
Right. The only other real competitive threat.
Maybe that's
teams,
it. He has everything but an asterisk next to something with his name. So he wants an asterisk.
You can't even play the best teams because there's this conference only schedule. So this season, and especially, there's nothing really to gain from playing college football. You can only lose, and what you're losing, we talked about it during the break, is a potential. 9-figure deal. I mean, maybe not right out of the gate, but you're gonna get 20, 30 million out of the gate guaranteed.
He will get the largest rookie quarterback in the history of the National Football League.
You look at the way rookies are getting signed right now at the quarterback position. If you like Tua, they lock Tua up to so much guaranteed money in Miami, and he's not even starting. Tua's not even starting this year.
People are like, well, what if people are saying, well, what if the Bengals really suck this year? So? Believe me, they're not drafting him. But what they will do is they will deal that number 1 draft pick. He will go number 1 one way or another.
Exactly, going number 1. You when your position, your draft stock is leveraged at the next level, and you're not even in the league yet. So the potential of getting you on a team is used as leverage for other teams. That's the position he's walking into. You have so much. There's nothing more you need to gain. There's nothing more you need to prove as a college player. You've reached the pinnacle. Maybe no Heisman, right? So he hasn't won the Heisman. But does this year, like I said, specifically this year, does the Heisman even count? I mean, Ohio State's not playing. They have how many Heisman winners? Like the amount of people that win the Heisman out of Ohio State and the Pac-12, like the competition's not even. You're not even playing against anybody else.
There's an asterisk next to every award this year.
So this year, I see no reason for anybody, not just Trevor Lawrence, but anybody who's locked up a draft position and who's confident that they'll be playing, like Chase from LSU. We talked about him during the break. The fact that he opted out, I'm perfectly fine with these people that are opting out because the goal was from the start was your money. Getting paid.
The bottom line is they love the game. I know you love the game, and the only thought I would have as loving to play sports is, man, I don't want to sit out of the sport I love for a whole year in my life. When I'm in my early 20s, I want to play, and I get that. But this is a whole different era now that we live in. It is a different world when it comes to sports, and the money is just too large to take chances and risks like that. I don't care if you get a $10 million insurance policy policy on your knees, you're still not going to make the money
I will say
you
this.
should make.
I will say this, though. Tua, who had a devastating injury that pretty much sidelined him during his last college season, right? He went very early in the draft still. What was it, 3? Did he go 3 or 5?
5, I think, right?
Either way, he's top 10 draft pick with that catastrophic hip injury, having not worked out, having not played football outside of a private workout during COVID. He still got drafted.
Yeah,
right?
I know, but still,
I
we don't know
it.
how good he's going to
Right,
be
and we don't
because
know.
of that
but
injury.
He still got guaranteed money. He still
did.
got paid.
He did.
So with
Well,
the way
Lawrence-
sports science works, I think that an injury
Let me
isn't as
tell-
catastrophic as it would have been 10 years ago.
Let me tell you something
but-
right now. If somehow Trevor Lawrence had a prosthetic leg after this season, he would still probably go in the second round with how good that guy has played in college. Okay, but I'm saying it is
Why
not
risk it?
worth
Yeah.
the risk. And the other thing, another fact, real quickly, before we move on to the subject is, and you can relate to this as well. You didn't get engaged in college. Did you get engaged after, or were you?
No, I got engaged before my senior season.
You
So
did,
I was
okay.
engaged that
You were
entire year.
Because Trevor Lawrence got engaged this summer. And congratulations to him, by the way. But I'm thinking
Poor
you
guy.
are about to be the number 1 pick in the National Football League. You probably will make 9 figures in your career. Why would you get married before that career started? I'm just saying.
You know what? I'll tell you why you do it. Because when you get to the NFL, when you get your money, it's going to be a lot harder to sift out who's really with you for it.
I understand that, but tell me.
If you've got somebody that's been riding with you before this, I would much rather go on into this next phase in life with that person than having to figure out who's just here because
You know how
I'm
many
paid
guys
now.
did that, Caleb? And let me tell you, the key is to
You know how many
sift.
guys have
they all
multiple-
got sifters because they sifted anyway.
And do you know how many people are paying child support now?
And you know how many
Because
people
they've
will
been
continue
sifted?
to make that mistake? Two things to young athletes: you need female counseling and you need money guidance before you get into professional sports these days.
Absolutely.
Both of them. I think I have said these should be mandatory classes for prospects to be professional athletes at any one of the 4 major sports before they go pro. Talk to somebody before you get married.
And I
talk
want
to somebody.
I want to be fair here. I just want to say that women too, going into the WNBA or whatever your profession is.
Oh, yeah,
you
same
need to
thing,
be
same
aware
thing.
that there are people there that are not there because they love you. They're there because of what you can provide at this point.
Stringers. They hang on.
Just be aware of this, and I will applaud Trevor Lawrence for this
Caleb
fact.
can tell you, even at the college level, there is Velcro everywhere trying to stick to you.
Absolutely. As
Okay?
soon as
There
you
is
throw a
Velcro
touchdown pass,
everywhere.
I remember this vividly because my fiance at the time got pissed because out of nowhere during that senior season, we're having success. Nobody wore my jersey. Nobody cared anything about number 8 at UNLV. That year, dozens of women in attendance at the games had number 8 jerseys on.
You hated
number
that too,
8
didn't
on their
you?
cheeks.
Hated
I
it.
loved it. I loved the fact that it was happening. I hated the fact that where was all this love when I was down in the dumps?
Right.
But now I'm locked up. I was guarded from
One of the
from
greatest
that because
coaches
my
of all
fiance.
time said, and it has to do the same thing. He said it about starters, but he said, winning isn't everything. It's the only thing, and you were winning. Had you been losing, you went out there and tossed 4 interceptions. If they were wearing number 8, it would have been upside down. The only good thing is it looks the same upside down and right side up, so it wouldn't have mattered. Hey, listen, real quickly, moving on from that, S&B with C, Javen White makes the Las Vegas Raiders as a practice squad player. Last week when he was released, we knew, or waived, I should say.
yeah.
We knew when he was
Important
waived
distinction, yeah.
that he was given the opportunity because you had to clear waivers to come back. He did clear waivers. The Raiders brought him back. He will be signed to a practice squad contract. How thrilling is that for him and for the program?
It's absolutely thrilling. I think I talked about it during the week with some friends of mine that UNLV doesn't have very many representatives in the NFL. We have a offensive coordinator with Shane Steichen now, who's an NFL offensive coordinator. But player-wise, we only have 2 players that are active in the NFL, Javen White now being one of them, and Torrey McTyer. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that because we have a player that's not a quarterback anymore, Johnny Stanton. He was a quarterback, but he's still floating around in the NFL as well. Yeah, so
Steven Jackson retired not too long ago.
Right, absolutely. So we have played, but representation for UNLV players in the NFL is good, and it helps with UNLV, which is now sharing a city with a pro team
And a stadium
to have,
with a pro
a stadium. It's a UNLV stadium on Saturdays. Okay, I just want to make that clear. But to have representation in the NFL from UNLV is awesome. It's a good thing. Even though it's just a practice squad. Now he has 2 years to stay on the Raiders practice squad before he has to bounce out and go somewhere else and get on the practice squad or make the final 53 in Las Vegas, which I think he still has a shot to do if he improves. The Lakers still need linebackers. I don't think that they've cured all of their issues over the offseason with linebacking. But it's good news. I think the Mountain West as a conference has 70 players that are on NFL rosters that have made the final 53. So the Mountain West Conference has a good representation of players that are playing in the NFL, which helps the conference, and adversely it helps UNLV. Like that's like a side effect of having your prospects make it on the NFL roster.
Well, you love to
so
see
it's
a
great.
guy
It's
6'3",
awesome.
211 that's listed as a linebacker make it, and it's because he had. And the one thing I notice about Javen White, and you can see this in certain players, he had what I consider an NFL motor.
Yeah.
And I mean,
No doubt
not
about
only the heart. The heart is huge, but there's a lot of guys that have huge hearts that don't make it in the National Football League. But there's a motor that certain players have that puts them a little bit ahead of everyone else. And Javen White had that here. Even when I would stand on the sidelines in the second half of every home
Energy,
game,
just
this
always
dude was
energy.
just always up and going.
Yeah.
When he was off the field, he's running around talking to the offense, like, come on, get out there. You just never took his eyes off the game. Even when they were down by 3 touchdowns, Javen White was standing in the forefront ready to get out on the field, and I really like that about him.
And it's really good that he landed in Las Vegas with the Raiders. I think it's really good that he landed on a team that I think is going to be a playoff team, and the season kicks off this week. The Raiders are healthy, whole for week 1, which is, Richie Incognito was the only person that was limited in practice over the weekend with the Achilles, but everybody else was full go for the Raiders. So Derek Carr out of excuses this season. His campaign begins with what I think should be a pretty easy start, a pretty good easing into the season with the Panthers, at least from a defensive standpoint, because the Panthers were last in the league last year with stopping the run, with having Jacobs back. That should be you should have a run game to rely on. With the receiving weapons that you have with Hunter Renfrow, with Ruggs and with Waller, the receiving, he has options. So I think this is going to be a good wake-up call for the Raiders to get their feet wet.
Well, this is going to be the
and we'll see
measuring
what it
stick
is.
this year of what Derek Carr can do. We're good to our NBA pick segment in 1 second here. I just really want to quickly mention again in the Wubble, the WNBA Aces, as I mentioned, second best record in the WNBA in the Wubble. They're 17-4-1, and only team in front of them is the Storm, and they are going against them today at noon. So
Last game of the season, right?
Last game of the season, a chance to tie the Storm with the best record in the WNBA with the win today. Check that game out at noon. I know it's during week 1, but I'm going to record that game and watch it a little bit later on tonight. Pretty cool. Real quickly, getting into our pick segments, guys. We're all going to get a chance to pick a game against the spread today. I'm going to kick it off, and it's funny because I'll get the arguments and the blood flowing right away here. I looked up and down this roster, and one of my things, I have a couple of friends that are prognosticators, and they always say, here's the way you make money prognosticating or betting sports. If you bet the underdog in Major League Baseball every single game, every single year, you will come out ahead at the end of the season, not by a lot. So you have to bet enough. They say the other way is home dogs early in the NFL season. Home dogs, home dogs, home dogs. The Carolina Panthers are at home getting 3 points from the Oakland Raiders today. What a terrible faux pas to start week 1. How about the Las Vegas Raiders today? But what I will say about what I like about this game is Teddy Bridgewater, 3-point underdogs. You have the best running back, arguably, in the NFL in Christian McCaffrey, and a guy that last year when he came in for Drew Brees played exceptional and is a big reason why the Saints made the playoffs last year. He gets an opportunity now, of course, a horrific injury, stepping in a hole a few years back in Minnesota with a horrific knee injury. A lot of people thought Teddy football would never play the game again. He came in last year. He showed that the knee is sound. I like the guy a lot this year. I don't think they're just going to cover the 3 points, although I'm taking them because I get them, but I think they're going to win this game outright. Week 1, Carolina is my pick. Who do you like?
I actually like this game, so I'm going to pick a game just because I like the game. I'm going to say the Cowboys over the Rams. And I don't even...
First Sunday night football game of the year, and Cowboys are giving the Rams 3 points on the road in L.A., and that is going to be Caleb. Wiz, what do you got?
I have the Steelers -6 over the Giants. I think the Giants are one of the worst teams in the league. Steelers have the best defense in the league. I'll take 6 points.
The early Monday night game with the Wiz, and Damon picking for the producers. Who do we like?
Titans all day. Titans over the Broncos -3. I'm taking the Titans. Then that's homerism, but I still think they're going to win.
You know what? I like the Titans, the most surprising team in the National Football League last year. Ryan Tannehill reborn again in Tennessee, and Derrick Henry. Don't sleep on this guy, man. He
talk
showed
about
last
the best
year.
running backs in the NFL.
You got to bring him up, and a lot of people don't. It's amazing how far he fell in a lot of fantasy football leagues. We are out of time. This is Out of Line. We're here every Sunday, same time, 8 a.m., Fox Sports Radio, 98.9 FM, 1340 AM. I'm Brian Feldman for Caleb Herring, The Wiz, and Damon Cotton. We appreciate you. We'll be back next week. Bye-bye.